Hello guys, welcome back to Dev Academy. Today we will discuss about SQL constraints. SQL constraints are applied to columns in a SQL table. When we are try to perform any operation in a SQL table like insert, update, delete any operations, RDBMS will check the existing constraints. If all the constraints will be satisfied, then that operation will be succeeded. Otherwise, that operation returns an error. I will show you all the constraints with example. The SQL constraints are not null constraints. Not null constraint means not null constraint does not allow the null value. Not null constraint does not allow the null value. Unique constraint. Unique constraints are does not allow the duplicate values. All the values must be unique. Primary key. Primary key also does not allow the null value and all the rows must be unique. Foreign key. Foreign key constraints it maintain the relation to one table to another table. Check constraint. Check constraint it is must be satisfy the conditional constraint. Default constraint. Default constraint means sets the value default. Now I will show you each and every constraint with example. The first one is not null constraint. Not null constraint means does not allow the null value. Now I am creating a one table with the example of not null constraint. I will show you how to create not null constraint. Create table employees. EMP ID int not null. First name varchar 50 not null. Last name varchar 50. You see here, just I'm creating a not null constraint, two columns only. First one is employee ID and second one is first name. The last name column I'm not created any constraint. I will show you use of that constraint, not null constraint, and if not creating any constraint, yeah, I will show you all the examples. Select a star from employees. You see here, the table was created with the three columns. First one is employee ID and second one is first name and last one is last name. I am inserting the data with insert query. Insert into table name. What is the table name? Employees. Values. I am passing the values. Employee ID is a integer value and employee name is a string value. String must be passed in single quote. Srinivas. And last name is a varchar. Last name also must be passed in single quote. Yeah, one row will be affected. See here, employee one row will be inserted in the employee table. Not null constraint does not the null value. Here employee ID I am passing the value and first name also I am passing the value. That's why the insert query was succeeded. If we are not passing the any value, Like if you are not passing the employee ID or first name, that query returns an error. I will show you. Insert into table name. Here what I did is employee ID. Here I am passing the two columns only. Values. Here if you are not passing any column, that column automatically takes a null value. Employee ID is a 2 and last name is a Suresh. Yeah, that this insert query does not succeed because of the first name does not, the first name column have a not null constraint. Not null constraint means does not allow the null value. We must pass the value to not null constraint. Instead of last name, here I am passing the first name in the insert query. Here employee ID not null constraint. Actually employee ID I passed the employee ID and first name. First name also employee ID is 2 and first name I am passing the first name and last name. Last name does not have any constraint. It means does not have any constraint means if you are this last name column allows the null value also. I will show you. Yeah, this query will be succeeded. One row affected. Why this query was succeeded? Actually employee ID and the first name have a not null constraints. Here I am passing the employee ID and first name also I am passing. Employee ID, first name, both the columns having a value. That's why this insert query was succeeded. Otherwise, this query returns an error. You see here, the employee table has a two rows. And the second constraint is unique constraint. Unique constraint. Unique constraint means does not allow the duplicate values. Each and every time we are passing the unique value. Here I am creating a one more table. Create table users data, user ID int, primary key and email varchar 100 unique. Unique constraint means does not allow the null duplicate values. Primary key means does not allow the null value and does not allow the duplicate value. Primary key also same. The main difference is primary key and unique key. Unique key allow one null value. Primary key does not allow the null value. I will show you. Select star from table name. What is the table name? Users data. Yeah, the users data table have a two columns. Here I am inserting the data by using insert command. Insert into table name values 1 comma my email is srinivas@gmail.com. See here, one row was affected because of earlier we don't have any data. That's why initial that record will be affected. and if I am trying to execute the same query, this query does not execute it, does not succeed it. It returns an error because of primary key also does not allow the duplicate value and unique key also does not allow the duplicate value, because this is a in that user users data table we have a id, user id 1, we 1 is there and this email also will be there, correct. Here I am changing the id, but you see here the unique key constraint Srinivasa. Yeah, again the second row will be inserted because of the first row. This user id is different and second one user id is different. The first email id is different and the second id is different. The major difference is primary key and foreign key. Primary key does not allow the null value. Unique key allow the null value. If see here, here instead of user id, here I am passing 1 and 2 will be there. Here I am passing third one row will be affected. See here, unique key allow the null value. In the major difference is unique key allow the only one null value because of the unique key. What is the unique key nature? Unique key does not allow the duplicate value. Already we have a one null value. That's why it's not allowing the second null value. Yeah, just it is checking the row by row. Already one null value is there. That's why it's not allowing the second null value. The primary key is does not allow the null value. Email suresh@gmail.com. Yeah, insert null cannot insert the value null into column user id because of the primary key. User id column have a primary key. Primary key does not allow the null value. The major difference is primary key and unique key. Unique key allow the one null value and primary key does not allow the null value. Other than that, both the keys are same. Both the keys are same. Means primary key does not allow the duplicate value and unique key also does not allow the duplicate value. Yeah. Remaining constraints I will explain in our next session. If you have any doubts, please comment it on below. If you like this video, please share, subscribe. Thank you guys. Bye.